All right. Topic number one. I should have said topic number one. Man of Steel. It's subject number one. Who knows? This article is about Man of Steel actor Harry Lennix demands Will Smith return his Oscar, claims Smith's 10-year ban lays bare the shallowness of Hollywood morals. Before we even get into it, do you agree with at least the general sentiment of what he's saying?
I saw this really great TikTok. I think it was a TikTok. I'm 100 years old, so I can't tell you.
One of those newfangled TikTok
I don't know.
contraptions.
It was a thing. I don't know. Some short video, some guy being like, they banned Will Smith from the Oscars for 10 years as a punishment, but he can still go to the after parties. He can still hang out with people. He can still be nominated for awards. Like, he just literally doesn't have to go to the 4-hour-long ceremony.
The
Who
dinner.
wants to go to that
Like,
anyway,
he was
right?
like, I don't know that you punish him. This doesn't seem like the worst deal.
Yeah. It's like the joke whenever someone's like an introvert, when someone's like, oh, we're canceling their plans, and the introvert's like, oh no, I was so excited to come out to see you today.
The thing about banning awards like this is like, he won like Best Actor,
Yes,
right?
he won Best Actor
Okay,
for King Richard.
for King Richard.
Yep.
You could make him give back the award, but like, does the second place guy really then feel like he won?
Yeah.
Like, his performance in that movie actually has nothing to do with his personal reputation outside the film.
The second place guy's like, I'm a pretty good actor, and I'm also not liable to slap you at any given moment,
Yeah.
and that is my claim to fame.
It would be like if you banned the best team from the NFL because they had a bunch of domestic violence allegations. Like, those are not good and are bad, but
And that would be most of the teams.
They're so common. I
Yeah,
don't think that would be
that's-
sustainable.
Yeah.
yeah. Also, like, then what? We just let the worst team win because they're the only ones left standing.
Yep. The age of morality, the age where you have to signal your virtue at all times.
Well, it doesn't. You could do that, but like, it doesn't. He's already been given the Oscar, so
Yep.
it doesn't make the other person the winner of that category.
And I wouldn't want to win that award. I wouldn't want to be second place. I mean, this happens in. There was an Olympic gymnast or somebody this year that won something that got caught, or maybe that was.
It was a figure skater from Russia.
Yes.
Although technically they were representing the Russian Olympic Federation.
Yes.
They weren't technically representing Russia because they have a bunch of sanctions. And she's a 14-year-old figure skater who got caught in a different tournament pre-Olympics doping, and so she's taking a heart medication that enhances performance,
Yeah.
and she should have not been able to participate in the Olympics, and it's unclear why the organization that governs this, which governs it for the Olympics and every other aspect of the sport, it's not like it's separate anti-doping agencies, why they were never notified her that she couldn't go to the Olympics.
And that's not a one-to-one comparison. That's literally about performance and not about morals. I mean, morals are part
it
of
would
it.
be
but-
What stood out to me from this is what Hollywood morals are there.
Yes,
I don't think there are any.
They're
They're completely amoral.
We'll talk because that's going to be a whole feature today. Like, I almost thought there was too much about that because that's going to come up in the Millie Bobby Brown topic and the repetitive nature or the reciprocal nature of like how this the media feeds into like wanting to virtue signal, then objectifies, then virtue signals about people being objectified.
It's about making you feel like you're the bad guy.
Yes,
When you've just been passively observing the whole time. Like, no, you're the creep.
So it says.
Well, hold on.
Go ahead. Okay. Oh, let's get. So it says Man of Steel actor Harry Lennix, who played General Swanwick in the film, and went on to portray Martian Manhunter in Zack Snyder's Justice League, recently penned an op-ed where he demanded Will Smith return his Oscar for Best Actor, and claims that the Academy's decision to ban Smith for 10 years lays bare the shallowness of Hollywood morals. After Will Smith slapped Chris Rock at the Oscar... Okay, we'll just go down to where he talks about it. He goes, the letter concluded writing, this action we are taking today in response to Will Smith's behavior is a step toward a larger goal of protecting the safety of our performers and guests and restoring trust in the Academy. We also hope that this can begin a time of healing and restoration for all involved and impacted. I still think that part of it, that's from the Academy, not from him. I still think of that as like, it's still a dude who slapped another dude, go to any bar on a Friday night and this stuff happened. Maybe
Do you think that Will is just going to go slap somebody else for an arbitrary reason?
No, but the thing is, like, if you slap someone at a bar, even though it's like
you could get arrested.
you get ejected from the bar. Like, Will Smith slapped this guy and then just got to return to his seat and hang out.
right? Okay, you're right.
But nobody knew what to do.
Yes.
Yeah, but it seems obvious.
Because it's the pomp and ceremony of it
right,
all
right,
that
right.
prevented
But
them
I
from
stand
reacting.
by, like, if you did this in any other public place, they'd be like, you have to leave.
Yep.
This is the only time that they were like, we're giving him an award later.
Celebrities are kind of, even when
there.
they're in public, they're allowed to do whatever they want and make whatever scenes
Right.
they want.
Rules
Well,
for
and
me
like
and not
this
for me.
guy, weeks later, I mean, how many weeks ago was it? This was at least 2 weeks
2
ago
weeks
at this
ago
point.
now.
Now he's like, I have an op-ed. I need to comment on this thing that's now 2 weeks old. Like, after everyone has already weighed in.
No.
I mean, I guess the ban is new, but at the same time, like, the ban feels only reactionary because so many people were outraged that they didn't intercede in the moment.
I still believe that the outrage feels manufactured to me. Like, maybe that's just me. Like, to me, I just think of it as like a dude acting like an idiot to another dude in a situation where it should have never been allowed to get that way. And the hyperbole of everyone talking about it as if he like tackled this dude and beat him to a bloody pulp. I'm not condoning violence in any way.
Sure.
I'm saying that the sheer number of op-eds, articles, and pieces written about this is insane.
Again, one of my favorite tweets was, I would not have, if Will Smith did not slap Chris Rock, I would not have known there was an Oscars this year.
Nobody would have
And
known.
I apparently regularly appear on a pop culture podcast. Like, I think the Oscars are so irrelevant for so many reasons. I don't think they're representational of most of America's perspective on
No, they're not.
Hollywood. I don't think they are the moral high ground. Like, them failing to do something or doing something or allowing something or not allowing something, like, is so irrelevant to me because I don't believe in the institution. And at the same time, us being outraged that they did or did not take enough action, like, I just don't really understand the point of still talking about this.
I liked it because it's partially because I like the performer, and I enjoy when anybody in Hollywood that's at least connected to the industry calls out the amoral nature of it. Even from within the industry, I would like to see that become more commonplace and see them not get punished. Like somebody like him, I don't think he's going to get punished for writing something like this. And this opens up more discussion with people who take this narrative of Hollywood being this great place, which we all know it's not, and having more of the people from inside that industry speak out is something that I don't think is a bad thing. So it says, within the op-ed, Lennix didn't beat around the bush. In the first paragraph, he declared, the Motion Picture Academy's decision to ban Will Smith from the Oscar ceremonies and events for 10 years as discipline for slapping Chris Rock is little more than an extended timeout for a playground bully. It's a toothless penalty that lays bare the shallowness of Hollywood morals. Later, he also criticized the Oscars performance as a whole, describing it as profane. I love the imagery that is conjured from that. He wrote, given the coarseness of pop culture in the age of social media, it was no surprise that much of this year's Oscar proceeding was frequently profane. I would like to know what else he was talking about other than just that, besides that incident, because the rest of it just felt like
Well, no one paid attention to any other aspect
just
of the
cookie
night,
cutter.
so.
Yeah. While Lennix would criticize the Academy for their punishment, he spent the majority of the op-ed targeting Smith, noting that the actor, quote, needs to express mail his golden trophy back to the Academy, and publicly state something to the effect of, quote, out of respect for the 94 years of honor conferred upon the this award, I do not in good conscience feel worthy of being its custodian.
I wonder what he's doing with it, though. Where do you think he put it in his house?
He's got like a doll that's pretending to slap the Oscar. That'd be cool.
I mean, first off, 94 years of honor. Like,
I
would buy maybe the first 20. Maybe that was when it was like a big deal. But like, this ceremony has not been about honor in such a long time.
From within his industry, he may see it that way. Being an actor for 20, 30 years, you probably see it in that context.
Didn't I pitch a long time ago that Ricky Gervais start his own
He
award
should. He should absolutely do
ceremony?
that.
Like, I just think this is not what is this guy doing? I'm sure he's a great performer, but like, I'm curious about the motivation of deciding that you need to publicly weigh in an op-ed.
He is. I think he's
Like,
looking
is
at it
he
from
about to announce a new movie?
No, not that I saw. But it says in reference to the remark about God, he's talking about the bit about the devil and God, where where Denzel Washington made his speech to Will, talking about, at your highest moment, that's when the devil comes to you. And he talks about Will Smith mentioning, I am overwhelmed by what God is calling on me to do in this world. world. He took issue with that. I'm guessing that Harry Lennix is quite religious. That might be what he took the biggest issue with, because that's what he calls out here. He says, in reference to the mark about God, Lennix wrote, in couching his acceptance speech as somehow submitting to the will of God, Smith abdicated personal accountability. I actually agree with that 100%. He would later add, it's an insult to the honor of God to assign him any part of the tawdry episode. To argue that some deterministic force was at play is to deny the sad fact that the affair was purely human. What say you? Agree? Yes? No?
I guess he's downplaying the role of free will in saying that, because that's just shrugging off his accountability.
What he chose to do on his own, he's putting it on.
What he did, honestly, it wasn't that bad.
It was bad, but it's like maybe to them.
It was just an expression of anger at himself. It's not that appalling, actually.
The statement about God or slapping Chris Rock?
Slapping Chris Rock.
Not that nobody's like advocating for violence. We're just saying that they're talking about it like I've seen more balanced conversations about like way crazier stuff.
No,
than this.
I think what people get startled by is the fact that it was a live stream display of violence. Like, I think the American feed cut, but I don't think any of the other ones did.
Yeah.
And
is it because that's allowed in other countries, or
no?
Maybe they just didn't catch it fast enough. I'm not really sure. I haven't looked into it that much, but I do know that like generally, you're not allowed. Like even like if you watch a show about police officers that have body camera footage or whatever, like they blur and distort a certain amount. Like you're not, and I think that is like upsetting to like American psyche on some level. I don't think it's that severe of a like.
Again, it used to be different.
We see violence all the time. I think it's just the disturbance of the pomp and ceremony of the night.
We see violence all the time, but like we have a weird relationship with violence where like when it's mass produced from a studio, it's like okay, but when you're depicting real things, it's like you can't show anything too graphic. Not that the slap is a particularly graphic thing. I think it just upsets like the norm of what's allowed on television, but I also think that like this whole debate over Will Smith is just so drawn out. Like,
yes.
I was bored in the first 10 minutes.
Yep.
I was bored
of seeing
the
people talk about it.
first day. And it's also like, oh, like again, this guy might have a really interesting perspective and be worth listening to, but like when everyone from Oprah to OJ Simpson has weighed in on this, like I just have sort of lost interest.
Mm-hmm. Well, luckily it's my show, so I get to decide what we talk about. I enjoyed that there was. I guess maybe it's more to me that it felt like penning the op-ed seems like it might be better thought out than somebody who just gives their hot take on Twitter, and someone who shares it in the middle of a TV show.
I just feel like this guy, like, why? Why do you need to weigh in on this?
Well, he's also calling for him to do so. Like, I mean, most other people are just saying like whether they think it was good or bad or not, and he's saying that he should give the award back. It's almost like he's trying to defend the honor of the Academy as if that's still a thing. He says, to be sure, a grave moral failure occurred, but the psychology and philosophy that underpins the ongoing spectacle can be ably explained as an act of free will. And so he's really focused on the free will aspect of it, as opposed to saying that it was an act of, what would you say that he was saying? Like, not an act of God.
Determinism, fatalism.
Yeah. And I appreciate at least couching it, like putting it in different terms than just making it about, was it the right thing to do? Was it the wrong thing to do? Should somebody have stopped him? He's at least looking at it as like, look, you're accepting responsibility without accepting responsibility. And I take issue with that, especially since you're allowed to go back up on stage and tell people that in lieu of winning an award, which is a problem. So aside from Smith's discussion of God and the supernatural in his acceptance speech, Lennix also specifically took issue with Smith slapping Chris Rock, describing it as an act of an existential crisis for the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. So I would boil this down to...
Who is being affected by this?
I would boil it down to two things. He's focused on the free will aspect of it, and that he feels that maybe as somebody who's been a performer for years and does see value in the Academy, whether we do or not, he feels that he takes it as an affront to that. And I find that interesting because I'm such an outsider from that perspective. I would look at the Academy as something that is not worth defending, but he's looking at it that way because it's an institution he believes in.
Maybe.
Did he explain why?
I think when you've been an actor that long, you have to believe in it because where else are you going to get your awards from?
Probably. He added, the incident was such a jolt to societal norms that I think this goes back to what you said about movies and the difference between the real world and other words. So the incident was such a jolt to societal norms that it will gnaw away at our national consciousness until somehow properly atoned for. Now I think he's getting into excessively hyperbolic territory.
Yeah. Also,
I love it.
It's kind of like when politicians are like, something is happening in DC and that's very important to the country. And you're like, well, sort of, but not really.
Is it
it's
really?
Like, this is happening in Hollywood, so we all must talk about it because Hollywood, as we know, is the center of the universe. Yep. But it's just the people who live there and are affected by it.
Yes,
everyone else has moved on.
They are the one. Well, I disagree that I still see people talking about this online.
People are only talking about it because we're so bored.
Yes,
literally nothing else is happening.
It's a rough life to be here in the greatest, freest country on earth, where we're allowed to just worry about stuff like this.
Actually, there's tons of stuff happening. It's just like on such a micro level, and people like to look at stuff that's like large and on a national level. Mm-hmm. Like any Twitter user in any state probably has something that they could pay attention to in their local election cycle, but they're not because it's more fun to talk about Hollywood, which I understand. It's just like
bread and circuses.
The only thing this had me curious about is the actual object of the award. I want to know where he put it. Is it being displayed?
Maybe he put it in like a coat closet somewhere.
Yeah, like what is he doing with it? And if he gave it back, what would they do with it? Would they just recycle it to give it to somebody else?
Take off the little placard and put a new one on next year.
Is it permanently cursed with bad juju?
Does the person who got second win it? I don't even know if they picked like a second place.
Maybe he should sell it at an auction, and the funds that he raises should go towards a charity that helps people who have been publicly assaulted on television.
That's such a good idea.
Yes, thank you. Will Smith, hire me as your PR agent.
There we go. And it's a great PR move on his part if he wants to do that. If you want to take the cynical approach, it's a fantastic PR move for him as he will eventually try to rebuild his career. Yeah. So thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.